This movie felt so sincere at times that you can say it had a lot of heart. What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to my channel. Today we're talking about a brand new Netflix release, Fatherhood. Before we begin, let me know in the comments what your thoughts on this movie were, if you already saw it or if you were planning on seeing it, and make sure to hit that thumbs up button if you like these reviews, as it helps me out immensely by getting my channel out there. And if you're new here, I hope you consider hitting that subscribe button so you can stay up to date with reviews of new releases, older films, hidden gems, and so much more on a near daily basis. But let's not waste any more time and let's talk about Fatherhood. This stars Kevin Hart as Matt, a father who brings up his baby girl as a single dad after the unexpected death of his wife, who died a day after their daughter's birth. This is based on the memoir Two Kisses for Maddie by Matthew Loughlin, and it's directed by Paul Weitz, who also co-wrote the screenplay with Dana Stevens, and this is his 12th feature film. Now, it's been a while since I've seen anything by Paul Weitz, or his brother Chris for that matter, but the one movie that immediately came to mind for me when watching this was the Weitz brothers' 2002 critically acclaimed film About a Boy. The plots are different, but the emphasis on the relationships explored in each are fairly similar. Now, I like Kevin Hart. I wouldn't consider myself a die-hard fan of his or anything, but I do think he's a pretty funny guy, and he can also handle dramatic material quite well, as he did a solid enough job in The Upside, a film that as a whole was okay, but it at least had some solid performances. And I think here, he did a solid enough job overall. In terms of tone, more often than not, this felt like something in the vein of The Upside a bit, with a reliance on schmaltzier moments and with most sequences having this delicate nature to them. And when it came to those heavier scenes, I thought he pulled it off pretty well. Like, within the first 10 minutes, where we see his wife die, his reaction to the news was incredibly heartbreaking. And I'd say the acting from everyone else here was pretty good as well. The other big standout for me was Alfre Woodard as Matt's mother-in-law, who's trying her best to get Matt to move closer to her and her husband, played by Frankie Faison, so they can help raise his daughter Maddie. And there's a lot of tension between the two, because it feels like the only thing that held them together was Matt's wife Liz. So when they come into conflict as far as raising Maddie, I thought it was effective enough, as it managed to explore two different sources of tension at once. And then you also had Melody Hurd as Maddie, who was sweet enough, as was DeWanda Wise as a woman also named Liz, but who goes by Swan, who Matt begins to date a little later on in the film. And I thought she was very enjoyable. Plus, you also have Lil Rel Howery and Anthony Carrigan as Matt's two friends, who provide a nice source of occasional comedic relief in an otherwise pretty heavy film. And because of how committed everyone was here, the film felt very earnest, and it didn't have to manipulate you into feeling for anyone. When we get to some of the really emotional moments, because everyone came off so naturally, I thought the scene in question would strike the right chord. However, I do think that the film probably could have gone a step further than it did when it came to exploring most of these relationships and these characters. I wouldn't say anyone was flat out poorly written or we didn't get an idea where characters were coming from, but the film felt extremely sanitized, in the vein of a Hallmark movie to me. It's not that Hart's struggles are easy, but it's just that outside of the relationship between Hart and Woodard, it just felt like there was a little something missing to each and every one of these relationships, subplots, and characters. There needed to be just a bit more depth at times. We'll get issues that characters take with one another, and they'll confront each other, but it felt like there wasn't enough in the movie to justify a few of the statements made. Like, it said at the beginning of the film how immature Hart is, even though he works a very good job and he seems like he has it mostly together. It feels like, if anything, he's always trying too hard and he just doesn't know what works for him. So I'd like to know where that observation came from. And then when it came to Maddie herself, it felt like we didn't get a sense of what her personality was like until there's a big confrontational moment much later on in the film, like her getting into arguments with kids at school and getting punished over it, or her yelling at her dad over his behavior. And we'll get these moments, but sometimes it felt like there could have been more build up to some of them. I don't think the film needed to add a lot to the runtime, as it's already 109 minutes. However, I think if this added like an extra 10, 15 minutes at most, just made up of a few extra scenes here and there placed throughout the film, I think it would have gone a long way in terms of character development. Because the film just felt like it moved from one thing to the next, bringing up these conflicts sometimes a bit suddenly, and then resolving others a bit too neatly. And it's done sometimes in this very safe, predictable manner that allows you to call where a lot of the story is going to go. And I get that if the movie was based on someone's actual experiences, it needed to hit these certain dramatic beats. Now, that's fine. I just wish that it explored just a bit more to justify some of the issues it brought up. and I think it would have went such a long way, even if the movie would still feel predictable. Fatherhood is fine overall. It's not one of the best movies of the year or anything, nor does it break any new ground, but it's enjoyable enough. It's a sweet story that's elevated by a lot of the performances, in particular Kevin Hart and Alfred Woodard. But I just wish that it went a step further when exploring some of these conflicts, because some of the things said didn't feel 100% justified in my view. Now, all that being said, it's a sincere enough film, and I know there will be an audience for this one who just wants something a bit more easygoing to check out. So if these sentimental sort of films are your thing, then it's worth watching, at least once. Fatherhood gets a 6.5 out of 10. So let me know, did you see Fatherhood, or are you planning to see it, and what were your thoughts? Did you find it heartwarming? Do you have a favorite Kevin Hart movie? Let me know in the comments below so we can discuss. Also, if you enjoyed this video, please like it and share it. And for more movie reviews and film discussion, please make sure to hit that subscribe button to stay updated. Thanks for watching everyone, and keep having fun with film.